Okay, so today we're heading to the UAE, a market where digital finance isn't just growing, it's absolutely exploding. You've got strong government backing, one of the highest smartphone penetration rates on the planet, and a whole new generation of users who expect everything on demand. It's become a true global hub for financial innovation.
And all of that has kicked off this really intense race where banks and fintechs are all fighting for that top spot. But look, in a field this crowded, a slick user interface? That's just table stakes. The real winners, the ones who are going to last, are going to be those who build on an unshakable foundation of compliance, security, and scalability from day one.
So in this explainer, we're going to unpack the enterprise blueprint for what success really looks like. We'll break down exactly what it takes to build a winning digital bank in the UAE, and we're going to focus on three core pillars: mastering regulatory compliance, engineering a secure and scalable architecture, and then ultimately achieving that market dominance.
All right, let's get right into it. Before we even touch the how, we have to understand the why, right? What is it about the UAE that makes it such fertile ground for digital banking?
Well, it really boils down to four key drivers. First, you've got a government that's not just allowing, but actively encouraging fintech innovation. Then you've got a population with pretty much universal smartphone access, which just creates massive demand. Add a young, digital native user base that has incredibly high expectations, and boom, you have the perfect storm for growth and disruption.
So, this brings us to the first critical phase, laying the strategic foundation. This is all the essential blueprinting that has to be absolutely perfected long before a single line of code is ever written. And this phase really just breaks down into two crucial steps. First, you absolutely must achieve regulatory alignment. There's no way around it. And second, you need to clearly define your banking model and exactly what services you're going to offer. And this right here illustrates such a key point. Compliance isn't some final checkbox you tick off at the end. In the UAE, regulations from the central bank and all the financial data protection laws, they have to be woven into the very fabric of your system architecture from the absolute start.
Now, at the heart of all this are two acronyms you cannot afford to ignore: KYC and AML. And let me be clear, these aren't just suggestions. They are mandatory processes designed to protect the entire financial ecosystem. This means secure identity verification and really robust transaction monitoring are completely non-negotiable. Okay, so once you've mapped out that regulatory landscape, you have to define your model. Who are you? Are you a traditional bank that's looking to upgrade your digital services? Are you a nimble neobank operating entirely online with no physical branches? Or maybe a specialized fintech targeting a specific niche like payments or investing? Each choice you make here leads down a very different architectural path.
And that choice then dictates the services you offer. The core services, those are the table stakes. That's what every single user expects. The advanced services, though, things like wealth management or cross-border payments, that's where you can really start to stand out and create a serious competitive advantage.
Now we get to the engine room, the core architectural blueprint. This is where we design the scalable, the modular, and most critically, the secure platform that's going to power the whole operation.
So this blueprint is really built on three interconnected pillars. First, designing a platform architecture that can scale effortlessly. Second, making sure it integrates seamlessly with the wider financial world. And third, fortifying its security right from the very core.
And this slide highlights a really critical architectural shift. See, instead of building one giant inflexible application, the modern approach is microservices, basically breaking the application into a set of smaller, independent puzzle pieces. This makes the whole platform more resilient, more flexible, and way easier to scale. And of course, those puzzle pieces need to talk to each other and to the outside world. That's where APIs, or application programming interfaces, come in. Just think of them as secure messengers that let your app connect in real time with core banking systems, credit bureaus, and payment processors. It's what makes the ecosystem actually function.
But of course, none of this matters if it isn't ironclad secure. And this isn't just a checklist, it's a multi-layered defense. We're talking end-to-end encryption to protect data, multi-factor authentication to secure logins, and continuous real-time monitoring to hunt for threats. In digital banking, there are just no shortcuts on security. Period.
So, the crucial point is this. A lot of institutions are now adopting what's called a zero-trust security model, and it's perfectly summed up by this quote. The guiding principle is so simple. Never trust, always verify. It means every single request has to be authenticated before it's granted access. All right, with a secure foundation in place, now we can shift our focus to the end product.
This is all about building an application that not only works, but that users will actually love, and one that can grow right alongside your business.
So what do today's users actually expect? Well, they want to complete tasks instantly, they want to understand their finances at a glance, and they want to get immediate alerts. In the end, it all just comes down to two things: simplicity and intuition. That's what drives adoption and what builds loyalty.
And behind that simple, clean interface, there has to be a powerhouse of an engine. The platform has to be architected for massive scale from day one, ready to handle millions of users without even breaking a sweat. This is where a robust cloud infrastructure and automated scaling become absolutely critical.
And before you even think about launching, you have to try and break your own system. I'm serious. This goes way beyond basic functional testing. We're talking about rigorous penetration tests and sophisticated fraud simulations. You have to actively find your vulnerabilities before the bad guys do.
Finally, we get to the launch. But as this section title suggests, deployment, well, it isn't the end of the journey. It's really just the beginning of the race to market leadership.
A smart launch always follows a phased strategy. You start small, rolling out to just limited user groups. This lets you monitor real-world performance, gather feedback, and fix any issues before you do a full-scale deployment to your entire customer base. Trust me, it's the safest way to go live.
And the work is never truly done. Staying at the top requires this relentless cycle of improvement. You're constantly monitoring performance, adapting to new regulations, and innovating with new features. In a market this dynamic, if you're standing still, you're falling behind.
Which leaves us with a final thought. We've seen how quickly this space has evolved, right? From basic transfers to advanced investment tools. So the question for the future is, as user expectations keep rising, what will be the next feature that goes from a nice-to-have to an absolute non-negotiable?